going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Geigenomics. And it's a day after the 2020 presidential election, and there's a lot to talk about. And I think where I want to start is with some self-reflection. The starting point for myself is myself. And I have to admit that what is most important to me is liberty. And I'm not that smart of a guy. Half these books behind me have not even been read, let alone opened and gazed upon by my eyes. But I am passionate. I'm passionate about what I believe in. And this logo in front of me is the symbol of anarchic order. That's why it's the A inside the O. It's a type of order. It's a type of society. And this experiment of democracy was a phenomenal try. But as Ron Paul says, we're on a suicide course. And this country is becoming destable. We're $30 trillion in debt. We're in 6 wars or multiple wars across the world. We have this pension program. We're in the middle of a pandemic. We don't know who the president is. And the corporate press is telling us that our democracy is sacred and we should be patient and there's nothing going on that's rigged about it. And it's just, the polling is one of the most broken systems that we have. It's way off. These election scandals are becoming a joke. And what we have to understand that a lot of people, including myself, don't fully understand is that the Civil War was fought as a war of secession. The South wanted to secede from the North. And Abraham Lincoln, among some other Northerners, also had incentives to keep the South connected to the North because this was massive amounts of territory as well as a tax basin. And Abraham Lincoln he's responsible for roughly 350,000 deaths of Southerners. And 50,000 of them were reportedly women and children. This dude bombed his own Americans. And that's why you had so many people fight in the Civil War. Because they saw their friends and family being murdered. And I'm not saying that the United States has to go down this path of revolution, let alone bloody revolution. But what we need is an ideological revolution. A revolution of ideas of liberty. And this is libertarian principles. This is why the philosophy of libertarianism is the most beautiful political philosophy ever devised by man. But you have a party who's trying to campaign among 2 of the worst presidential candidates in history. And they're a joke. And that's why I don't vote. I mean, I would theoretically at maybe local levels. But on a national level, this is a joke. The Libertarian Party got 1% of the votes, roughly, give or take a couple. That's on the scale of putting up a fight in a democracy, it's not at all effective. The party of principle, the party of peace, the party of non-aggression should be something people are proud to support. But because people don't know the ideas of liberty and they're not exposed to what's truth, then we end up with this mass civil unrest, cognitive dissonance, visceral reactions to what we're told. It's very unfortunate that libertarianism as a philosophy is criticized as much as it is, working with the economics of capitalism and Austrian economics and free market laissez-faire systems of human interaction is scrutinized because of corporatism, masqueraded with legislation. And then you have some people that I know who champion socialism, and socialism has been considered to be the most evil disease to ever come on the face of the earth. I mean, you just have to do some basic history of the 20th century. We're in the 21st century, and we have more people around my age that are championing socialism. And I got to tell you, I'm scared. I'm scared of those people. I went to a liberal arts college in Los Angeles that Obama went to, and I know these people. I lived with them. They're proud of socialism to represent the ideas of democratic socialism. And I don't know much, but I do know that humans are vulnerable. Humans are most definitely vulnerable, not just psychologically, but also physically, and as well socially. And to implement socialism in what was once this great nation is a road that I don't think Americans are ready for. And I don't want to see it either. And I think the best thing we can do is decentralize. And I don't know how that will look. We're studying the basis of anarcho-capitalism, the philosophy of individualism, the philosophy of voluntarism and localism, and peaceful interactions and engagements. Not always peaceful. But as Michael Malice says, often the best criticisms of anarchy are just descriptions of the status quo. Until we understand the technicalities of something, of how a car operates, we'll never know what actually exists under the hood. And to think that it's all what would be a good analogy to continue on with the cars, that you have I don't know, maybe we can incorporate the roads. So the roads are owned by the government, and to think cars wouldn't work if we didn't have the roads, which is a justification for why we need the government to provide the roads. This is nonsense. We know that cars operate off roads just as well as they operate on roads. Now, the argument to be made is, well, what is better for a car in the long run to drive on? And the argument would be a nicely paved road. But then you can say that, well, the first roads in England were private. And I don't know, the whole history of privatization of roads, but I'm telling you, the cars would be better off if roads were privatized. Now, to save off on a scientific, economic digression about the privatization of roads, all you have to understand is that the operations of humanity exist in reality without a government. We do it all the time. In 90%, 99% of our interactions. We go to stores that we want to go to. We interact with people we want to interact with. We line ourselves up ideologically with the people who we want to ideologically line up with and engage with. And this happens on the internet as well as in person. And we have different religions and different cultures and restaurants. And you can go to these different things. And to think that we have two people who are going to be the official representatives of 330 million plus people, this is ridiculous. This is beyond idiotic. This is becoming dangerous. And the corporate press, I was listening to them yesterday. They will spoon feed you how great our democracy is. And I'm telling you, I recommend you to read Hans Hoppe on democracy. Any of his works you can find. Just YouTube Hans Hoppe, Hoppe, democracy, and rabbit hole it and see what you come out with. And it will be a different perspective. This idea of democracy, it produces bads, and that the worst demagogues will rise to the top. And the fact that the politicians are only in there temporarily heightens their time preference, so that they act more like children, where I have to have all the fun right now. That's why they loot the capital stock, and they cannot engage in buying or selling some of the capital stock on the market and retain some of the income from it. So with their incentives, it's lined up to lobby and create these corporations and this crony capitalist society that's driving the American people trillions of the country at large, in trillions of dollars in debt. But in this mass overreach experiment of 2020 of pandemic handling, they raped the American people by locking them in their homes, giving them $1,200 and bailing out corporations and the big banks, printing trillions of dollars. And people don't understand that we can't print money away. You know, we're not on a gold backed system, which means that we can just create the cheapest thing possible, which is paper money. And this lowers the purchasing power of the dollar. We have, okay, this is the issue. Joe Biden wanted to increase additional spending by $6 trillion. Kamala Harris, or 16 trillion, I can't remember. Kamala Harris wanted to increase additional spending by $40 trillion. This additional money does not produce anything. It doesn't produce any economic goods. All it does is decrease the purchasing power of the dollar. How does creating additional pieces of paper make society richer? It doesn't. There is no more stuff. There's only more money. But this money prices adjust their exchange ratios. So the amount of products are still the same in a society. And increasing pieces of paper, just all it does is now for that same product you need additional pieces of paper. And that's why this is such a cronyist system, and is the most radical institution that we have with modern monetary theory. This additional stimulus, additional spending, quantitative easing, it's for lack of a better terms, baloney. And not just that, it's moldy baloney. You know, I want to be freaking technical with the economics, because I think it's sick to have a sick understanding of economics. But that's not where I'm at right now. That's not. I'm just a dude who's passionate about libertarian philosophy with a platform or of roughly 10 people listening to this podcast at this moment. But it's time to create a movement, to be a leader in this world of liberty. And I don't know how that's going to look. Maybe my leadership extends to 12 people. Hopefully a little bit more. But there's so much that needs to be addressed, that needs to be learned. We gotta stop looking towards these fake leaders called government politicians. They're just people. And I don't know why you would look for someone who you don't choose to be a leader in your life, and then who wants to be a leader in your life that doesn't know you. You should be worrisome about that. What do they really want? Because they don't care. But anyways, I saw this ad for Biden-Harris, and it said, we cannot allow ourselves to be undivided. And I was like, wow. Or no, it said, it said like, we can allow ourselves to be divided. And I was like, wow, they're actually in support of division of society. And then I reread it and it said, no, we can't allow ourselves to be divided. Or it said something like, we cannot allow ourselves to be undivided. Anyways, they're just for collectivism. They just want the state to stay together for the power. It's a massive government at this point, and it's intimidating to see the size of the government. But the Soviet Union collapsed. Many governments that were large and powerful have collapsed in history, and things may get ugly. We cannot deny that in history everything went smoothly. But as long as we stay ideologically sharp and on the right track and after truth, I don't see why something glorious cannot emerge from potential catastrophe. One of the last points I want to make here is I think that might be all I have for now. But I encourage, the people who have listened this far, and reach out. Let me know what you think. Let me know, like, for discussion, what's important to you. This is what is important to me, and I want to share it. And let me know, like, what you would think would be good for you, and maybe it would be good for other people. That was a little bit of a rant. But that's where we'll end it for now. Thank you.